Okay, I've called this emergency board meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. It's an opportunity to meet and discuss the release of election results for yesterday's primary election. Thank you, Gary, for assembling this group. Commissioners, I'd like to give you a brief update on what I have been doing and what Gary has been doing. We have been meeting and discussing with Sherry Hall the procedure to go ahead and add additional help to the duplication of the ballots. It's very slow, it's very tedious, and the shifts are about 6 hours is all you can do. And so based on when Stephen Madcore volunteered, he relayed that information to us at one of our meetings. So I went down there, I did some quick math. And there's 26 current people, and they have to be in pairs, transferring the ballots. So at 1,500 ballots a day, that could go up. You do the math, and we're woefully short. If 30% voter turnout in Clackamas County, that would put us at 90,000 ballots. Those ballots double when you look at the PCP ballots. So we could be at 180,000 ballots. We don't know that additional number yet. So you go forward, we can add double shifts of the 26, which brings us to 52. That's not enough. There was also the opportunity to the sliding bay doors on the loading dock to add additional seats over there. So we could technically get to 40 people a shift, which means 80 people a day. So I told Sherry, you're going to need 80 people a day additional, but you need more than that because not everybody's going to show up. We need probably several hundred people to rotate and shift because people don't always volunteer. And it's difficult. It's just human behavior. Not everybody can show up for every day. Gary has been very generous in offering county staff. You saw the email yesterday. I relayed Gary's information to Sherry that you have whatever you need. Don't worry about cost. She was very concerned about cost. And I said, Sherry, that's not an issue. We need to get this done. We need to ensure the integrity of the ballots, and we need to do it in a speedy as possible manner and be accurate. She agreed. So Gary, you have graciously talked to this morning to the EMT team, and you got 200 volunteers right now. Gary's told me and told Sherry if we needed 1,000 employees to do this, that's what we would do. I have been in talks with people at the elections department who are observers, very decades-long observers. They know the process very well. They too are very concerned about how slow it's going. And frankly, commissioners, the overwhelming amount of ballots that have poured into Clackamas County as of yesterday is very tremendous. And I think that's a very positive sign that our citizens are engaged in their electoral right to vote and have a statement. So with that in mind, Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Stephen Madcore, and then any commissioner can opine. That's just it in a nutshell, what we're dealing with.
Thank you, Chair Smith. So yes, I'm the county administrator. I have deployed currently up to approximately 200 county staff who will be reassigned to work in the county elections office starting tomorrow, including the weekends, for as long as it takes to help make sure that we are counting the ballots accurately and clearly and as timely as possible. This is not a race, as you know. We want it to be done accurately and correctly rather than rushing it. All of these employees will volunteer their time, and we'll make sure we have enough to get the job done. So yes, Clerk Hall is very supportive of this. We've been working with her this morning. We're setting up a scheduling system. We'll be ready to go starting tomorrow morning on 2 shifts a day for as long as it takes to get this work done. Thank you.
Stephen Madcore, any thoughts?
Good morning, commissioners. No, nothing offhand unless you have questions for me.
Yeah, go ahead. I see. Paul, I just want to say one thing. Clackamas County is a statutory county. We are governed by Oregon revised statutes. Sherry Hall is a duly elected independent election official, and she runs her shop, obviously. However, her employees are county employees. We will be sending more county employees to help with the situation. Two commissioners have their hands up. Paul, you're up.
Yeah, so my question, and people are asking, and I too am curious, what do you mentioned 1,500. I know we heard that a day or so ago, that might be the capacity unless we staff up. So what do we expect like today? When will we have daily updates? And if so, how many ballots do we anticipate being added or counted per day? That'll show up on the count where people can log in and look at it.
I don't know how to answer that question, Paul. I have done the math to tell Sherry this is the capacity that we need. I had a report earlier today that they are continuing to open up ballots and verifying signatures today. I do not think any ballots will be duplicated or counted today. That's what I heard, but I cannot verify that through the clerk. Stephen Magler was shaking his head.
We have Andrew Naylor from my office. He is over there and he reports that he's not doing duplications. They're opening ballots right now. And the clerk's website says that election results will be posted every night. So it's not ongoing, it's in the evening from the looks of it.
Okay. One thing that I received a call this morning and had heard that we were opening ballots today. And I think that I had to explain that in a typical normal election, that the day of the election, the day after, the days after, they're always opening ballots typically because they're coming in through the mail, they're coming in from other jurisdictions. Like, for example, someone might drop their ballot in Multnomah County. It might take a week to get it to us. So we expect staff to complete the opening of the ballots. And I know now with this 7-day, mail-in, I imagine that they'll be opening ballots at least till next Tuesday, at least. Is that correct?
Paul, I don't think that we can set a timeline on any particular activity that will be completed at any particular date, because number one, we don't know how many ballots we have received yet.
Okay.
But I understand your metrics. I would agree with your train of thought on this. Commissioner Schrader?
You may hear dogs in the background, just to FYI. So is one of the issues that we're having is a secure space with the number of people we can put in there? And did I hear that we're going to try and expand that space at all? And if so, how do we do that securely?
Gary Schmidt has your hand up.
Yes, I can answer that. There is limited space currently in the elections office. It has to be a secure facility with cameras, observable by the public. However, the building our elections office is in, we call it the Central Utility Plant, the CUP building. There are other secure spaces on the first floor that we can use. Clerk Hall is aware of that. And so we're going to be able to expand the number of people who could be in there at a time. So yes, we are able to expand our space on the first floor of the CUP building to allow more workers on site to do this work.
And I heard, Gary, through the grapevine that they heard somebody at facilities was upstairs, making noise, thought maybe there was an expansion going on. I don't know if that's true or not.
There is an upstairs conference room as well, but we're not able to use that space. We need to stay on the first floor of that building. So we've
okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Paul.
Yeah, the other, I know that we talked about it on Thursday. I've encouraged people prior to yesterday to watch the Thursday business meeting with the clerk to at least hear the discussion, hear the details. But I just wonder, that because we have so many people logged in right now watching, can maybe Gary or Mr. Madcore at least kind of talk about that duplication process? And there's one Republican, one Democrat. It's in a camera room and a viewing room. Is there a independent observer for each of those two people?
I was over there on Monday, Commissioner Savis, and I was wearing my lanyard, which was of a political party that was different from my cohort. She was wearing a different lanyard, and we individually processed each ballot that came in with the defective barcode, and we transferred the results to the duplicate ballot. We labeled it as duplicate. We had a number for it. We read off the voter's selection, then we traded the ballot and recited it to make sure that it was accurately conveyed to the duplicate. Then we kept the duplicate and the original separate and had those batched together. It was very slow, painstaking, tedious, careful, precise work. And it went slow. We were there for 6 hours and we did 144 ballots.
Okay, so just one last question on this. So in this pair, this duo, right, is there a third person that's observing, or are we going on the cameras and the external observers?
There's really nobody per se observing everybody individually. There were people on the outside of the room observing, and there was also election staff walking throughout the area to answer any questions or to aid and assist if necessary. But no, there were no extra set of eyes on us constantly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Martha,
So are those of us who aren't elected, can we take a look at the process and go into the building? I mean, who are not running at this point, not in an election? And also, can we volunteer to help as folks who are not running in an election, or would that be inappropriate?
I asked Becky, is it Sturgis, the elections director, that very question. If an elected official, if your name is not on the ballot, yes, you can volunteer. And yes, you can observe on the outside, as I've been doing that, and maybe my other commissioners have.
Okay.
So yeah, Martha, you can go ahead and do that. I will say right now, my name is on the ballot. I'm precluded to going over since I'm running for a PCP position in Clackamas County, so I'm not allowed to do that. Commissioner Fisher, oh, yes, Stephen?
I just want you to know that Clerk Hall is watching and available to answer any questions if you wanted to bring her in and discuss anything with her, just FYI.
Stephen, yes, please invite her in and ask her if she wants to make any statements. You can bring her in this panel, make her a panelist, and we would be more than happy to hear from Clerk Hall on this. Commissioner Fisher, your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. So my question, and maybe Clerk Hall can answer this. So we had our meeting on Thursday. Our county administrator dedicated whatever staff or resources was needed at that time. I know that I reached out to Sherry Hall on Friday just to confirm that there would be duplications happening over the weekend, and I did not get a response. I understand that duplications did not happen over the weekend, which has led us to a very challenged situation in that so many of the ballots that have been received have not been counted. So I am understanding from our conversation today, Chair Smith, that we are working with the clerk. I would like some assurances that she is going to accept our help and also accept any technical help or support from the Secretary of State's office. I have complete confidence after hearing how the duplication happens that these results will be accurate and reported at some point, but the delay, our voters deserve to know. They deserve as quick as results as possible. And so I would just like assurances that that our county elections office is now accepting the help and resources that the county is offering.
I would like that too. As like I say, Gary Schmidt and I have been talking with Sherry a lot about this, and she is open-minded as an independently elected official. Officially, she needs to say yes. Hi, Sherry, I see you're here today. Would you please unmute yourself and comment? Please unmute yourself.
I did. Okay, now I'm unmuted. It's
Go
nice
ahead.
to see smiling faces. Thank you.
Sherry, you were asked a question by Commissioner Fisher. Did you hear that?
Well, I heard you talking, Commissioner Fisher, but could you please just restate your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Sherry. We had a meeting on Thursday of which resources from the county were offered. And as you know, I reached out to you by email to make sure that we were deploying resources over the weekend. And I understand that did not happen. And so now we're in a real crunch with so many ballots have not been able to be counted. And now we're in a place where we have done some math. We have more information. We know what it will take to get these ballots duplicated. And I just want some assurances that we are now in a place where you are ready to embrace the help and support that is being offered.
And we are ready to do that. And maybe Commissioner Smith and Administrator Schmidt know this, but I think it was after I talked to the administrator this morning, and I checked with Jeff Jorgensen, who's our facilities director. And, you know, he was thinking we could have just moved upstairs with some of the work into the big conference room that disaster management used. But we can't do that. We have a security plan, so we have to stick within the rules of that. We file it every year with our Secretary of State in January. But then Jeff came up with a really great idea, and we will be expanding our space. And for you that have been here, you see the big room that we already use, and there's the long hall type of observer area. And then there's another hallway towards the front of that, which is where the bathrooms are, and also the hall to the cafeteria or lunchroom, which is huge. And so facilities will be securing that whole area to the lunchroom, which is another room about the size of the one we use. And we will be working in that room also. And it also has windows on the outside wall, so the observers can watch from there. But we will really have more than twice the space we have, so we can use all 1,000 employees that Gary's sending. Or 200, right?
Yes, thank you, Sherry. If we need them. And I think
And
what
we
we'll
will be working shifts from 7 to 1 and 1 to 6 or 5. And we are talking about working this weekend, and I plan to do that, but we need enough staff to do that. I'm not sure if I can force them to work or if they have to be willing instead of not, because we did try to do that last Saturday, but only 3 said they would do it. So we didn't work on the weekend.
Okay, well, I think if we can get some of our employees trained so they can work the weekends, maybe if the county staff can't be there. Now, there also was
That's
another
piece. The training has to take place for people that have never done this.
and
If
also,
we get brand new people every day, we will be spending time training every day. So
I understand that.
People.
I understand that also. Is it possible through Marion County and Washington County, we can borrow some of their election supervisors since we have more people?
Okay, the state has actually reached out to Marion and Yamhill because they're the 2 counties that have the same system we have. But it may be that with Clackamas County giving us so many, that would be enough. And we should know that probably tomorrow, because we'll have the whole list from county administrator and we'll see what we're bringing in. But if we have any slots that still could be open, we could also ask those 2 counties. And then the other county that pays their temps from the same temporary agency that we do is Washington County. So payroll would be easy, and criminal history and all of that has already been done. There's some logistics that aren't just a matter of plugging people in when you get them. We have to figure some things out to see if it works with what we're doing. But I wanted to just give you another nice surprise. We received 31 long trays of ballots from the post office this morning because of the postmark date yesterday, and they came in the mail today.
Wow, how
That's a
many
lot
ballots
more
is that,
ballots.
Sherry? 31 trays is how many ballots about?
It's up to 400 per tray. It could be 250. It just depends on how tight they pack them in. And we should know that full number by the end of today. And just a couple of things outside of Clackamas County. Deschutes County put on their email that they received the most ballots on election day of any time in their history yesterday. And did you hear about Pennsylvania, who has a similar problem that we have?
About that.
I did hear about that, yes.
They're not a vote by mail state, but evidently they have about 100,000 mailed ballots that they will have to duplicate. To do with a printing error. So it shows that it can happen. It's just a horrible thing to happen.
Commissioner Fisher?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up. Sherry, I'm not sure that I heard it correctly, that you, if you have the staff, that you would be able to work on this. And so I'm just wanting Gary Schmidt, our county administrator, to confirm that there is not a barrier for staff.
I think there's not. What I mentioned was the weekend staff, the Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so Gary, could you weigh in on that, please?
Yes, and we're talking about two kinds of staff here. There are election workers that Clerk Hall coordinates year round. There are retired
That are
folks who are
temporary.
temporaries. Then there are county employees. So as far as last weekend, and it's true, I did not deploy county employees last weekend because I had less than 12 hours notice. So I didn't have time to notify employees. But employees can work on weekends. They're all being paid. Every employee is being compensated. So I'm offering to Clerk Hall county employees up to 200 if necessary, starting tomorrow, every day until the counting is done, including weekends.
And we will accept whatever we can have. Are we duplicating today? Okay. And one of you mentioned what we were doing today with our back room full of temporary workers, and we are opening new ballots to prepare for tally. And those will be fed through the tally machines, and whatever gets rejected will be duplicated. And I truly am, it would be great if this problem just disappeared and a miracle happened and they could be read, every single one of them. But otherwise, we have to do what we have to do. And I feel terrible for Paul Savas and Sonia Fisher because you're on the ballot and it's terrible to not have your results.
We have two more hands up from commissioners, Commissioner Savas and then Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, Sherry, I'm curious what the I have a two-part question, what the turnout is thus far, and is the turnout based on after the ballots are processed and the signatures are verified, or is the turnout based on the trays or the count that you guys visually see?
Okay, when the ballots come into the office, they get run through the ballot sorting machine, and that's the whole envelope package that goes through that machine. And then those signatures get verified. And if there's any that have to be taken out because the signature doesn't match or they forgot to sign, then those are removed from that batch. And then the batch is rerun for the second time through the sorting machine. And that's the number of acceptable ballots we receive that goes on our website with that number. And on, let's see, Monday, it was 21.48%.
Very good.
Number yesterday, did we? We didn't post a number yesterday, but we will post that number of the total ballots accepted for tally. And we'll do that at the end of the day today. I'm not sure.
Sorry, when you say accepted for tally, does that
Because-
run through the machines or duplication?
Okay, it's been run through the sorting machine. But then the signatures are verified and they find signatures that don't match or weren't signed at all. So those ballots are removed from the batch. And then that batch is run through again because that's the number that we show as accepted for count.
Okay, Paul, any more comments or questions?
That's all, thank you.
Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, Sherry, are you going to have a timeline update or will you have it online somewhere? And if so, where is that available?
Timeline update, you mean
Yeah,
to show?
well, yeah, like a, any kind of a visual that gives people idea where we are in the process or any kind of information that gives them that kind of an update.
Okay, on the results page, which we posted for the first time last night, we will update
Okay,
that each time, and it shows how many ballots are in that result.
okay,
And there's another page that shows the ballots received, the ballots returned, which is what I just mentioned about being run through the sorting machine, and then the ones that aren't signed or signatures don't match taken out, and then the final number is run through again. So that's the actual number we will be counting. But we can still, you know, be receiving ballots for another 6 days because of the postmark that allows us to accept ballots up through 7 days after Election Day. And then the people who didn't sign or has an unmatched signature will get a letter giving them 14 days to cure the signature. So there could still be small amounts of ballots coming in for a couple weeks.
so let me reframe again too. You're going to be updating this every night,
Yes.
right?
We
Okay, that's
will-
what I thought.
We
Yeah.
will update the results each night. It will just
If
be
I-
new on the days we're duplicating.
Okay, and that will be every night and that's where we'll get the information. Okay, what time? By 8 o'clock? Or do you have a specific time that you're, yeah?
It can be probably anytime between 6 and 8.
Okay,
Some of us have been working late, but it just depends on the workload and what we've gotten done. And we plan to be done with this on time, so
Okay.
What is on time?
June 13th is certification day.
So we can count clear up until June 12th, if you have to.
Right. Certification, or excuse me, signature verification cure can keep coming in. That should be about the only thing.
Okay. And does that, the June 13th date, does that allow time for letters to be sent to ballots that you cannot verify signatures?
The letters are sent out and the voter has until 14 days after election day to cure the signature.
I see. Okay. Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, my question was similar, Chair Smith, to what you were asking. I understood a different time frame from our meeting on Thursday that we had to have the ballots counted. Was it like a week after Election Day or what? I can't recall exactly, or 10 days?
Have them counted. We have to certify the election, which means it's closed and solid on the 13th of June, and things happen up till that date or the day before. That might change the count by 1 or 2, but that is how long we are working.
So can you just go through the time frame as to, we have Election Day and then
And we can accept mailed ballots up through 7 days after Election Day. If they have the Election Day postmark, they will be counted. And then the signature cure, you know, if your signature needs to be cured because we can't accept the one that's on the envelope, you have 14 days for that after Election Day. I haven't done that math. What? Okay, and you know, the election manager is in here. Do you want me to have her come to the screen too? She can answer some of those.
Sure, Sherry, go ahead. Have her introduce herself, please.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Becky Sterndahl, election manager.
Go ahead. What was the question for Becky?
With the timelines from Election Day forward, is that correct, Commissioner Fisher? Okay,
So the same law that changed to make postmarks count also changed our timeline on the front end of it, front end to let us start early. But on the back end, made the postmarks count for 7 days after. They have to be postmarked Election Day, but we can receive up to 7 days after Election Day. And because some of those may be challenged, that 14-day window got pushed. So
That's
now it's 21 days after election day is the cutoff for curing a challenged signature or providing a signature on a ballot that was not signed. And then we have additional week after that till certification. And we can process and work on this clear up to certification day.
Okay, Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, well, you answered a lot of my question there. So last year, before this state law change about the 7-day postmark, we would typically see, I'm just, these are my words, not yours, but a pretty large percentage within a couple days after the election. I would say, I don't know what the percentage is. I'm scared to say a number because that's just my thoughts. But so we have, with this change, more of an anomaly of sorts where maybe we won't see that bulk gross typical number. Let's just say it's a great majority of the ballots counted. It's possible that might stretch out. So we don't have no basis or history to know with the stream of ballots that will be coming in the next 6 days. So my question is, I'm trying to get to is that prior to this state law change of the postmark, let's say on election day is Tuesday, let's say on Thursday, you would have about what percentage of the ballots tallied?
Depends on the election, but in a primary or general, typically without this kind of an opportunity, we would have in that Tuesday night results, the 8 o'clock results, we would have everything through Monday, everything we had received through Monday, the day before election.
Okay, so that's essentially 100% then through Monday.
It's
Well, not with the turnout that we had on election day yesterday. That
Right.
it would have been 100% of returns through Monday night.
Okay. And it's just like a perfect storm. We have the change, and we have a new stream of ballots coming in because of the postmark change, and we also have this printing flaw with the barcode. So very unfortunate for all of us. So when this is not a year for us to gauge, but maybe maybe for other counties to get a better idea what that pattern might look like for future reference either in November or in the next primary. Thank you. That's all I have.
I would agree, Commissioner Savas. This is a wonderful learning opportunity for all of us. Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure who this question is for, but what is our public communication strategy given the extended time frame, and to provide assurances, first of all, that the election counting process is prescribed in state law, that we're following it, that we are deploying resources to do this as quickly as possible, and that it's going to take quite some time. And quite frankly, the results won't be reliable for, I don't know when. I don't know if we can predict at what percentage we will know what the outcome will be. What's our communication strategy?
We can't really make a prediction. And there's 2 races in particular that's really being watched here, and one is Congressional District 5. And it's just really important to get the work done. But part of what went on yesterday here was all of the press and all of their cameras, and it really delays our process when we have to be pulled out to talk with that. So I've really learned to appreciate the PGA department, because Kimberly Dinwiddie has just been great with talking to the press rather than me, and setting the timelines for when they can do things, because we need to also respect our temporary workers who have not liked the fact that there's camera film being put on TV. They don't want to be there. And we also need to keep the press aware of what's going on, because they're the one that gets the word out. But it's just,
Sherry, can I address this?
yes.
I have scheduled a press conference today at the county buildings at 1 p.m. away from your elections people. I would like to say to the press that the election workers, whether they're volunteer or not, do deserve privacy because it is very stressful and people are not as comfortable on camera as maybe the bunch of us are because we're used to it. So I would appreciate if the press would allow for the sanctity of the ballots to go forward. It's not to say you can't come in and pop a picture. I'm not saying that at all, but we're trying to get through a very difficult situation here. And I'll be prepared to answer the questions that I can and make a statement today at 1 o'clock about this.
Well, and again, Kimberly Dinwiddie is helping with that too. She's putting some things out because this morning we got here and there was a news crew here and there ended up being a total of 4 inside the office in front of the counter. And so
Well, and we can understand why they're
they
curious
want
about
the
this.
story.
And it's an important story and it needs to be told. And that's why I'm available today at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, and I thank you for that because, you know, we're going to look the same every day. We're going to have tables of people working with paper ballots. And we are going to inform them of the status if we need to do that each day. But there's really nothing new to take pictures of. So we're all
Okay.
working together and trying to make it work for everyone. But as in county employees being deployed here for working with elections, it's true that the law requires we know political party that they're affiliated with, and some are very sensitive about that. So elections is just a different little group. I mean, it has its own set of rules that some people are uncomfortable with, but we do have to follow the law.
We do. And we're going to wind this up. I think I have one more commissioner in the queue. Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Sherry, there was a report in the Oregonian that said that most of the ballots that needed to be duplicated were non-affiliated or Democrat ballots. Do you have any more? And I have a couple questions, Chair Smith. So please allow me to follow up.
Oh, sure.
Do you have any more information about that?
Actually, I have a response to the Oregonian on that subject because it's, of course, very easy to tell which party the ballot belongs to because of the candidates on the ballot. And I got that question from the Oregonian. So can I just read you the short response? There were blurred barcodes that affected all types of ballots, Democratic, Republican, non-affiliated, as well as both Democratic and Republican PCP ballots. What we have seen so far is disproportionately Democratic ballot styles. We will not know until all ballots are received the number of ballot styles affected and the proportion of the ballot types. 307,000 ballots were sent out. There were 5 ballot types: Republican, Democratic, non-affiliated, Republican PCP, and Democratic PCP. These are further divided into 447 ballot styles. Each style has different elections on it depending on the voter's precinct and the city, special districts, elective districts in which the voter's residence is located. We will have detailed information once the ballots are processed and tallied, but we don't have it now. And there is no report that provides that information.
Okay, then that seems like a whole lot of complication. One thing about our public relations strategy, Gary, maybe this is a question for you. I'm not sure who's in charge, if we just provide support to the clerk's office, but managing expectations and especially communicating clearly to the public about that the results will not be determined for a while. And I don't know what our time frame will be, but I would suggest frequent updates from our public affairs as to what the status is and the reliability of what's being reported. Not reliability, but
that's a good strategy. I wholly support that. And we will do that. Our PGA is on this Zoom meeting, and Sherry will just wait to receive information from you, and then we will get it out there for you.
Okay, and just one other little point here. When you're looking at the results as we post the updates, the title of those results is unofficial. It will not be official until we certify.
as in all elections.
Right. That's the way elections go, right?
I think we're going to wind this up. Does Gary Schmidt or Sean Lilligren have any closing comments or statements to make now?
No chair.
Okay, Commissioner Schrader, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing. What I've heard in my head is that that duplicate ballots are being printed today. Is that correct? Because you're not just opening and checking signatures today, you're also printing the duplicate ballots?
We have a large supply of printed duplicate ballots that were printed in this office. And so
Okay,
we have a good enough supply to have one for every one that needs duplicated. And we
okay,
continue that to the end because we actually don't know the number that need to be duplicated until the scanning machine
yeah,
rejects them.
okay.
Got it. Commissioner Sapp, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Schrader, go ahead.
No, I just want to thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, so I'm assuming on that one detail, that we're printing duplicate ballots. Those are blank ballots for use for this duplication, hand duplication. So they're manually printed in a machine, but they're filled out by this process by someone with a pen blocking it out. So it's not a machine duplication
No.
of the original ballot. It's just simply making duplicate ballots for the copying and or the, yeah, I just want
That's
to
correct. We are printing fresh, plain ballots. And the duplication team, one has the voter marked ballot, the other has the duplication ballot with no markings. And then the voter choices are read to the duplicator who marks that one.
Okay.
And that's how each is done.
And then Sherry, you run it through the machine to count them. We do
Right.
not hand count them. That's a distinction that needs to be made. We are not
That's correct.
hand counting them.
No, what we call it is hand processing the duplicated ballot. And then that ballot will be scanned through the machine, not hand counted.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Smith. So Sherry, I just want to summarize what I think I'm hearing. You are graciously accepting the assistance from our county administrator for additional staff. You are open and looking at other resources from other counties for other election officials. And the other piece that I want to confirm is the Secretary of State has offered whatever support is needed, and just clarifying that we are all on deck working on this emergency, accepting any and all resources that can assist us in counting these ballots as quickly and efficiently. And of course, they will be accurately reported.
Yes, all of the above.
Thank you.
We call this our election wildfire. We can't wait till it's out.
Okay, any closing comments? Any further questions or clarifications? I will try to do that to anybody who wants to know today at 1 p.m. here in Clackamas County. Thank you, commissioners and staff, for this meeting today. Seeing no other business, we are adjourned.